व्याख्यातं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नाम्ने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So text number 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 तत्रापि प्रियव्रत रथ चरण परिखातये सप्तभे सप्त सिंधव।
Tatrapi Priyavrata Vrata Charana Parikhatai Saptabhi Sapta Sindhava.
उपक्लप्ता यत एतस्याः सप्तद्वीप विशेष विकल्पस्त्वया भगवन्।
Upaklipta Yata Etasya Chapta Kripa Vishesha Kalpas Vaya Bhagavan.
खलु सूचित एतत् एवाखिलम् अहं मानतो लक्षणतश्च सर्वं विजिज्ञासामि।
Khalo Shochita Etat Evakilam Aham Manato Laksha Natascha Sarvam Vijignyasami.
Yes, would someone like to read? Okay, it's just translation. My dear Lord, the rolling wheels of Maharaj Priyavrat's chariot created 7 ditches in which the 7 oceans came into existence. Because of these 7 oceans, Bhumandala is divided into 7 islands. You have given a very general description of their measurement, names, and characteristics. Now I wish to know of them in detail. Kindly fulfill my desire. Text 3. Bhagavato gunamaye sthula rupa aveshitam manohya agunepi.
Bhagavati Gunamaye Stula Avashita Mano Hi Agune Pi
Sukshamatam Atma Jyotishi Pare Brahmani Bhagavati Vasudevakhye.
Shukshmatama Atma Jyoti Pare Brahmani Bhagavati Vasudeva Ye
Shamam Aveshitum Tat Uhe Tat Guro Arhasya Anuvarnayitum iti.
Shamam Aveshitum Tad Uha Tad Guru Hasi Anuvarna Jitum Iti.
Would someone like to read?
Krishna Prabhuji, may I read?
Yes.
Translation. When the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature, made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. In that transcendental position, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. O my Lord, please describe vividly how that form, which covers the entire universe, is perceived. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master, Shukadev Goswami, to think of the universal form of the Lord, and therefore, following the advice of his spiritual master, he continuously thought of that form. The universal form is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ultimately nothing is material. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj's mind was saturated with spiritual consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. Everything, even that which is material, is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur translates this verse as follows. Hari Sevaya Yaha Haye Anukula Vishaya Baliya Tahara Tyage Haya Bhula. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking it material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. When Maharaj Parikshit was thinking of the universal form of the Lord, his mind was certainly situated on the transcendental platform. Therefore, although he might not have had any reason to be concerned with detailed information of the universe, he was thinking of it in relationship with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, such geographical knowledge was not material but transcendental. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20, Narad Muni has said, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetara. The entire universe is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although it appears different from him. Therefore, although Parikshit Maharaj had no need for geographical knowledge of this universe, that knowledge was also spiritual and transcendental because he was thinking of the entire universe as an expansion of the energy of the Lord. In our preaching work also, we deal with so much property and money and so many books bought and sold, but because these dealings all pertain to the Krishna consciousness movement, they should never be considered material. That one is absorbed in thoughts of such management does not mean that he is outside of Krishna consciousness. If one rigidly observes the regulative principle of chanting 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So when the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature, made of the material modes of nature, the gross universal form, it is brought to the platform of pure goodness. See, Krishna says in the Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu madha bhaktim labate param. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Material world, interaction with the modes of nature brings about limitation. We see this present even in personalities like Brahma and Shiva. The propensity to lament and the propensity to lament and the propensity to become angry. But Lord Vishnu, on the other hand, is completely aloof. So the Brahman stage is actually the subtle boundary between material and spiritual. Brahma is that stage where the living entity is just situated in the mode of purity. It is not perfection, but sometimes we see that in the books it is referred to as perfection, Brahma Bhuta stage. Actually, devotion starts after Brahma Bhuta. So Brahman is that stage where one has given up identification with matter. Brahma Bhuta is not like some kind of a physical boundary where one has to fly to the top of the universe or anything. Brahma Bhuta is a boundary of consciousness. So when one is able to see the universal form of the Lord, when one is able to perceive the universal form of the Lord, one is actually able to see the interaction between the Supreme and the material. One is able to see Brahma and one is able to see Maya. So at that stage, one immediately understands his spiritual identity. That is not Swarupa Siddhi, but it is an identification of spiritual identity as distinguished from matter. In that stage, one is considered to be completely pure. That is Vishuddha Sattva, pure Sattva, the platform of pure goodness. The platform of goodness means still some contamination of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, mainly contamination of Rajoguna. That's, you see, activities of knowledge, activities of charitability, all these are in the mode of goodness. So anyhow, goodness is preferable to passion and ignorance, but still we can understand that beyond goodness is pure goodness, the stage of Brahma, where one understands immediately the interaction between the three modes and the living entity, or the living principle, or the interaction between the dead energy and the living energy. So this, or inert or living, or the inert energy and the fragments of the Supreme Lord. So with this consciousness, if one acts, then one is acting on the platform of pure goodness, one is acting in pure devotion. A devotee of Krishna understands that everything belongs to Krishna and everything is meant for his service. Therefore, when he acts with the material elements also, even though his activities may sometimes appear to be the activities in the mode of passion, he is still to be considered as situated in pure goodness. Because at that stage, he is living a life of purity. He is completely purified. So, here we see Maharaj Parikshit had already been advised by his spiritual master to think of the universal form of the Lord. See, in the beginning stages of bhakti, we cannot perceive Krishna directly. That's why you see when devotees go to Vrindavan or Mayapur or they are chanting Radhe Radhe and all, that is all Sahajiavad. That is all, taking the cheap way out. Because before one can even have understanding of Radharani, one has to understand what is material energy, what is soul, and what is the distinction between matter and soul. Srila Vyasadeva has dedicated 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam just to explain the distinction between matter and spirit. And then in the 10th canto, finally, the form of the Lord is revealed. The supreme form of the Lord is revealed. So therefore, we have to meditate very carefully. We have to consider, why Bhagavatam is presented in such a manner, or why Bhagavad Gita is presented in such a manner. Because we have no understanding of the spiritual form. We have no understanding of the external form of the Lord. So unless we have that realization, we cannot jump over to identification of, to understanding of Krishna consciousness, or particularly the Mahabhav of Krishna. So, so in the beginning stages of bhakti, one applies everything in the service of the Lord. So if you remember the 3rd chapter of Gita, where Krishna is advising Arjuna to conduct the activities of sacrifice. Sacrifice means dravyadan, or sacrifice of material elements. So in the 2nd chapter also, 20th verse, in 2nd chapter 20th verse, purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining. He says, therefore Krishna advises Arjuna to sacrifice the material body for the cause of religion. The material body itself is a property of the Lord. It is meant to be used for the Lord. We can see that this material body has a beginning and an end. Even if we try to preserve this body, it will not be preserved. So if we try to preserve this body in sense gratification and not serve the Lord, we are going to become sinful, because this body belongs to Krishna. So this is a property of Krishna. So in the service of Krishna, somehow or the other, if the body gets destroyed, then it is properly applied. So then that is considered pure devotion. So Krishna is advising Arjuna to do that. In the 3rd chapter, he explains the process of yajna, by which one can become freed from material contamination and become situated in transcendental knowledge, the knowledge that Lord is the owner of everything and everything is meant for his service. And therefore, with that consciousness, one acts only in the service of the Lord. And acting in such a way, one becomes established in samadhi. One becomes established in complete meditation on the Supreme Lord. That is the beginning of bhakti. That is Brahma Bhuta stage. After that, one acquires the knowledge of the Absolute, and then one advances in the process of bhakti. So, if one wants to become pure devotee, one has to apply all the material facilities in the service of the Lord. So this is exactly what Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain in this purport. Now, one very interesting point Prabhupada makes is, if one rigidly observes the regulative principle of chanting 16 rounds of the Maha Mantra every day, so this is not like some mechanical process. I get up at 3 o'clock, I am chanting. That is a process of ahankar. Mayavadis also do that. But getting up in the morning, meditating on the Lord, because morning time, our consciousness is pure, it's the mode of goodness. Therefore, we are meditating upon the form of the Lord. We are begging for his service, we are begging for his protection. If one chants in that mood, one will definitely advance in bhakti. But if one thinks that I am chanting 16 rounds in the morning, one is not advancing at all. In fact, one's false ego will only get boosted up. One would think that he is actually very advanced, but actually he would not advance at all. Bahujanma yadi kare shravana kirtan, kabhu to na pave Krishna pade premadhan. So one would, if one thinks egoistically, one may perform thousands of kirtans and eat tons of Mahaprasad, one may visit all the dhams hundreds of times, one would not advance in bhakti. One has to give up this conception of I, me, and mine. One has to give up this false ego that I am significant. If one thinks like this, 16,000 rounds of chanting is also not going to help. One has to give up this misconception that I am significant, I am important. When one gives up this misconception, then one is able to advance in bhakti. That's the motive behind chanting 16 rounds actually. Actually, you can become pure simply by chanting 1 round per day also. But because our minds are contaminated by chanting 16 rounds, at least there is hope that we may be able to chant something. So if you have chanted only one mantra, one Hare Krishna mantra, with sincere prayer to the Lord, then you have chanted only that one mantra. The remaining 15 rounds and 107 mantras are really just sound. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that only Shabda came out of my mouth, not the Naam. That only the word came out of my mouth, not the holy name. So we have to consider all these things very carefully. Bhakti is very subtle. Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. Hare Krishna. Is any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam ji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I do have a couple questions. When Arjun was shown the universal form, he got scared. And he prayed to Krishna that, show your mercy and come back to the four-handed form. So why spiritual master here is suggesting to think about the universal form of Krishna?
I didn't get you.
So why the spiritual master here is suggesting to think about the universal form? Jabki hum kehte hain, think about the two-handed form of Krishna always.
See, now that's a very good point. Actually, Arjun is a dear friend of Krishna. At least twice Krishna says Priyosi me to Arjun. Priyosi me, you are dear to me. So Arjun is already self-realized. We are not. In fact, if you read the 11th chapter, you'll find that Arjun is also requesting the Lord to show his form to the atheistic-minded people, to those who may not have faith in the Supreme Lord. Arjun is not saying that I want to see your form. So Arjun himself is fully capable of understanding Krishna's nature. He's a very dear friend. But for our sake, he's asking this.
पर वो देख के भी तो डर जाता है ना, यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म देख के he himself gets scared.
I mean, he has seen the most pleasant form of Krishna, so he finds it bewildering. But for people like us, what is our position? We are still attracted to the male and female forms in this world. That means we are still attracted to the external feature of the Lord. By seeing the universe, just a moment, please.
Hello. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ji. Mataji, Prabhuji just said to hold for a minute.
Hare Krishna, please continue with the reading. There's some repair people who have come to my house, so I just need to attend to them.
Ji, Prabhu. Pranav Prabhuji, you want to continue the reading, or Archana Mataji, you can begin with.
You can read, Mataji.
Okay, Ji. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. So text number 4. Ruchir Vacha Nave Maharaj Bhagavato Maya Gun Vibhutaya Kashtham Mansa Vacha Vadhi Gantum Alam Vibudhayusapi Purushasa Tasmat Pradhanyenev Bhugolaka Vishesham Nam Roop Manal Kshanto Vyakyasyam. Translation. The dear Rishi Sukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, there is no limit to the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. This material world is a transformation of material qualities, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Yet no one could possibly explain it perfectly, even in a lifetime as long as that of Brahma. No one in the material world is perfect, and an imperfect person could not describe this material universe accurately, even after continued speculation. O king, I shall nevertheless try to explain to you the principal religions such as Bhuloka, with their names, forms, measurements, and various symptoms." Purport. The material world is only 1/4 of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's creation, but it is unlimited and impossible for anyone to know and describe, even with the qualification of a life as long as that of Brahma, who lives for millions and millions of years. Modern scientists and astronomers try to explain the cosmic situations and the vastness of space, and some of them believe that all the glittering stars are different suns. From Bhagavad Gita, however, we understand that all these stars, nakshatras, are like the moon, in that they reflect the sunshine. They are not independent luminaries. Bhulok is explained to be that portion of the outer space through which the heat and light of the sun extend. Therefore, it is natural to conclude that this universe extends in the space as far as we can see and encompasses the glittering stars. Srila Sukadev Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible, but nevertheless he wanted to give the king as much knowledge as he had received from the Parampara system. We should conclude that one cannot comprehend the material expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One certainly cannot estimate the expansiveness of the spiritual world. The Brahma Samhita confirms this. Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Anantarupam Adyam Puram Purusham Navayovanam Cha. The limits of the expansion of Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, cannot be estimated by anyone. Even a person as perfect as Brahma, not to speak of tiny scientists whose senses and instruments are all imperfect, and who cannot give us information of even this one universe. We should therefore be satisfied with the information obtainable from Vedic sources as spoken by the authorities like Sukadev Goswami. Thank you, Ji. What I'm understanding from this is beautifully summarized by Prabhupada through the Brahma Samhita verse here. Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Anantarupam Adyam Puram Purusham Navayovanam Cha. So clearly Prabhupada is explaining here how vast Krishna's material energy is. This particular material energy is it's divided into 3 gunas, in the sense that it's Rajogun, Tamogun, and Satogun. And anyone who's trying to understand, or who claims that, we hear so many times people claiming, "Oh, I understood, I read a lot of book, I'm understanding Krishna." There is no way anyone is understanding Krishna. the energies are limitless. Prabhupada, in this verse himself, Prabhupada is saying, Naviyovanam cha. His energies keep expanding, keep changing. That's why Krishna gets attracted by his own form. And he wants to know himself more because his energy keeps expanding. Even Anantashesh, they say there are millions of hood Anantashesh has, and every hood from limitless time is glorifying Krishna's energies, the gunas, the pastimes. Yet it's not done. And he himself says it's unlimited, and he can't even, and this is Krishna himself. This is Krishna's expansion. And he can't understand his energy, then who are we? We are, as Bhagavad Gita says, we are those who are imperfect. We have 4 defects. So a person with 4 defects, we use our senses to perceive everything, and if the senses are imperfect, of course we are going to perceive knowledge based on our imperfect senses. So we certainly not be able to understand Krishna's energy. So Prabhupada is bringing two very beautiful points, that learn to be satisfied with what's provided by Vedas. At times we see, we are stuck with very minimalistic things that might not help us in Krishna consciousness. So whatever is explained, take it as is and try to meditate on the Krishna feature, Krishna Tattva, rather than just getting into, this earth is that much million, in distance or whatnot. Another thing Prabhupada is also highlighting here, that so Sukadev Goswami is saying that, I'll try my level best to explain whatever I know. So this is Guru. Guru will help the devotee understand, will impart all the knowledge that the Guru has, that he has received through Parampara system. If we humbly inquire from the Guru will impart all that knowledge, and that is Krishna Tattva. That's what I got out of this. Prabhuji and Mataji, please go ahead and comment.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, there was some repair work going on, and there's nobody at home, so I had to attend.
No problem, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So yeah,
we just read number 4.
Number 4.
Oh, sorry.
You had some question, right? You were asking.
Ji. The question was, Gita mein
universal
Arjun
form.
saw the universal form. Ji.
So you see, we are still attracted to the material energy. In the universal form, Krishna is showing his material energy as an external manifestation, where Arjun sees everything, including time factor and himself. So then he finds it bewildering. So actually we are also bewildered by material energy, but Arjun is finding it bewildering because to him Lord is very dear. So this form of the Lord is totally unpleasant. This form of the Lord is very unpleasant to him. But for us, we have to meditate on that form because we are still attracted by this material energy. Just as we were reading that verse, the 15th verse of Sri Ishopanishad, Hiranmayana Patrena, that the sages are requesting the Lord to lift this, kind of this material energy of his, to lift this material effulgence so that we can see your beautiful face. So we are still very much attracted by this material effulgence. We have to give it up. So if once that attraction is finished, and that attraction will be finished only when we focus on the spiritual form of the Lord. So in the beginning stages, we have to focus on in the beginning stages, a sage must focus his mind on the Brahman aspect of the Lord, which is this Virat Roop also. Then one will become purified of the desire or the propensity to enjoy this material nature. Then he'll be situated in Brahma Bhuta stage. So you're getting it? Like Arjuna is on the other side of the spectrum. He's on the other side of the wall and we are on this side of the wall. For Arjun, seeing this form is unpalatable. For us, seeing this form would be the window to liberation.
For us, it's like a medicine that we need to take. Is that how we should? Okay.
Yes. For us, this form will be magnificent. For Arjun, it was unpalatable.
Ji. And Arjun, one other question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
So Arjun is actually, because Arjun is very much, Premanjana Churita. He's very much
Mhm.
endowed with love of God. So for him, this
Hmm.
form has no meaning.
Mhm.
For him, this form has no meaning. But so so so, so therefore, Arjun doesn't want to see this form. It is just like, full of magnificent energies of the Lord. But on the other hand, for us, we are still thinking Krishna as insignificant. We still think of Krishna as an ordinary person.
Hmm.
So we have to understand his magnificent form first.
ठीक है जी. एक
Yes.
और question, Prabhuji. The last sentence of this verse 3 says, if one rigidly observes the regulative principle of chanting 16 rounds of Mahamantra every day, his dealings with the material world for the sake of spreading the Krishna conscious movement are not different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness.
Huh.
So if all the dealings, say for the preachers, say
Huh.
if the preachers is very very rigidly following Mahamantra and they are preaching, why we say that the fall down still happens? If the preacher is that into preaching and he's rigidly following 16 rounds,
Hmm.
all those activities are considered spiritual, then why still fall down happens?
The activities are spiritual, the preacher is not. See, even Bahu Janma Jadi Kare Shravana Kirtan Kabhu Tana Pave Krishna Pade Premathan. See, with what consciousness are we doing it?
नहीं
we're getting
मतलब
the point.
हम तो प्योर ही नहीं है. Yeah.
So if we are, see, the process is pure, the knowledge is
Hmm.
pure, the chanting is pure,
Hmm.
but we have to elevate ourselves to that level.
Hmm.
So there, see, chanting 16 rounds rigidly is one thing. There are many other principles.
True.
Asat Sanga Tyaga, we are not giving that up.
Yeah.
We still enjoy. Oh, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my uncle, aunt.
Yes.
So that is Asat Sanga. See, the definition of Asat Sanga is very strict. It may be one's own mother, one's own father, one's own brother, one's own child. If that person is not a devotee, then it's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. So Srila Prabhupada actually emphasizes this point. Yesterday I was just studying one lecture of Prabhupada. He emphasizes that this Asat Sang is like the most strict principle. Asat Sang has to be given up. If a person is not a devotee of Krishna, he is complete nonsense. And we cannot take their association if we are sincere in bhakti. But even as devotees, we are not able to do that. Why? Because we are still attracted by lust. It is lust only. Lust is not just about sex life. It is all kinds of nonsense association. That is all lust. A desire to enjoy material energy. So, I like this lady in the office, I talk to her. I like this man in my office, I talk to him. Asatsang, all asatsang. Because we are not discussing Krishna. All the moments we are spending in these talks are idle talks. We are not remembering Krishna. So because of that, we are still prone to fall down.
ठीक है जी. Thank you, Roji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so some other discussion also, some questions from the fourth verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
So by that definition, we cannot even properly work, right? We cannot go to the office because we are not talking about Krishna.
Correct. Remember this way. Why are we working? To sustain a family? Actually, and how long can we sustain the family? How long can we sustain our body? The body will be finished. It could be tomorrow morning. It could be 40 years later or 50 years later. But that time is fixed. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. Krishna is saying death is assured as soon as one is born. So death is assured on birth. So that means all the activities in between are futile. Therefore, we have to do those activities by which we can actually sustain our life, by which we can actually save our life. So purely spiritual activities are the only means of deliverance. We are working because we have still not enough faith in Krishna. And till the time we don't have enough faith in Krishna, we have to follow the rules and regulations. But we should understand that it is complete nonsense. A heroin addict is given morphine to give out to reduce his addiction. But that doesn't mean that morphine is a good thing. The drug addict knows that his addiction is abominable and he has to take a milder drug. But that milder drug is not a good thing also. He has to reach a stage where he needs no drug. So we have to understand that even though we are now working, we must understand that this is nonsense. We have to give it up completely. It may take time and we should not do it suddenly. We should continuously try to purify ourselves till such time as we are able, completely convinced to give it up altogether.
Agree. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Reshma Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Prabhuji, regarding this chapter, why suddenly Shukdev Goswami is explaining Parikshit Maharaj about all this, whereas it was all about Maharaj Priyavat's lineage and other partial incarnations of the Lord and some pure devotees. How come this means sequence? Why this sequence has come in between like that?
We
For
haven't
some
discussed.
reason?
So we haven't exactly discussed the. See, two reasons actually, mainly. There are many reasons actually. Like we discussed previously also, one of the very first reason is to explain the quality of Maharaj Priyavrat's renunciation. Like we discussed, Maharaj Priyavrat's renunciation was not that he was in the renounced order of life or that he took sannyas again. Maharaj Priyavrat's renunciation was that he actually became a grahastha. You're getting the point, the subtlety of all. Maharaj Priyavrat was attached to being to a sannyasi, attached to being a sannyasi. He was convinced to give that up and take to grahastha ashram. Now that is sannyas. 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you read carefully, the definition of sannyas, Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Sannyas means using everything in the service of the Lord. Maharaj Priyavrat's body and mind were actually suitable for inhabiting this earth with pure souls. Therefore, he had to become a grahastha, but he was not wanting to become one. So he was attached to the idea of detachment. So that was also another sign of attachment. So in his case, his actual sannyas was to become a grahastha. Because he had no attraction to getting married and raising a family. So he was asked to do it by his father and guru. He did it. That was his renunciation. And the fruit of that renunciation is all the magnificent universal manifestations that we are talking about here now.
Okay, that way.
Okay, now that is one point. The second point is that now we are going to discuss the geography of the universe, especially Bhumandal. So it's not that we are doing some kind of a tourism trip here. Here, the distinction is on the subtle consciousness of the various living entities who inhabit these worlds. So it's an overview of different varieties or different gradations of consciousness that exist within the material world and the means of getting out of them.
Okay, Prabhuji, got it. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, any other questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we discussed the Brahma Bhuta stage. What, I mean, as we know that it is actually a change in consciousness that gets you to that stage.
Yeah.
But is it possible that somebody can temporarily be in that stage when they are performing certain activities of devotion? They temporarily get into that stage and then they again come down.
Yes.
Or is it
very much possible? I mean, from Brahman, many devotees fall down. Brahman is not a permanent place.
No, but Brahma Bhuta stage is in the material world only, not in Brahman.
Yes. It is the layer of material world. It's like a boundary layer of material nature. You can see the spiritual world, you can see the material world also.
No, means I'm talking about ordinary devotees. Not, is it possible that by doing some devotional activities in which they get very much absorbed, their consciousness actually rises to that level, but they're not able to sustain it there?
Yeah, very much. I mean, these modes are still acting. One has to become strong enough to completely be detached from them. Now, one word of caution that our acharyas put in this regard is that even if one is liberated, one should not take it for granted. Like even if one has attained bhav stage of bhakti, one should not give up the regulative principles of bhakti. Though it is generally understood that one will not be tempted by Maya at that stage, but still there is always a danger. Like
But generally at that stage, regulative principle means they are that time it is mostly Raganuga Bhakti. No?
Oh, no. See, within the material world, the living entity is always living in danger. Always. Even though, like, for example, in Bhagavatam only this verse is going to come that within this material world, none other than Narad Muni and the 4 Kumaras are immune to the attraction of the opposite sex. Now, like in general, general affairs, a man would not be just so simply attracted to females. For example, if you live in places like, say, Badrinath, Kedarnath, or some places, like you imagine you're a temple priest somewhere, there is no chance of sex attraction there. But that is because one is putting conscious efforts to purify oneself. At the same time, there is no external force. So one should not expose oneself to a dangerous situation. Otherwise, sages could come and live in the cities. What is their problem? But they avoid this because within the material nature, except for the 5 mentioned personalities, no one is immune. Except the sage Nar Narayan and the 4 Kumaras. Yeah. So no one is immune to attraction to opposite sex. So one avoids that. Usually, if you are in the bhav stage of bhakti or rag stage of bhakti, you will not be attracted because you have seen the beauty of the Lord. But still, you should understand that Maya is Krishna's own energy. She is as good as Krishna. So she is testing you to see the limit of your purification. That's why in the very last stages of material existence, in the very final stage of material existence, Maya convinces us that we are Krishna. I really don't know how that works. I don't even want to find that out. But that's why we take shelter of Guru. At the very last stage where one has become completely immune to the attraction of opposite sex. Also, at
that is for Mayavadis, no, Prabhuji, not impersonalists, not for us, not for devotees.
No, we are also Mayavadis only. Right now, we are devotees. We are trying to enjoy material nature. We are thinking ourselves to be mini Krishna. So, you see the danger of Maya.
That was a nice slap.
No, all of us, we are all Mayavadis. We are trying to enjoy. So one thing we have to understand here, and that's a very dangerous thing also. See, material manifestation is attracting us. See, Mahaprabhu says one very important thing. Mayavada bhashya sunile haive sarvanash. Okay. Now, this is one statement that Mahaprabhu makes. He doesn't say karma kanda sunile haive sarvanash or brahmavad sunile haive sarvanash. He specifically uses the term Mayavad. Why does he say that? Or for example, scriptures mention that one should not stay in a solitary place with one's own daughter or mother even. Why do scriptures say that? Now, sexual relations with one's own daughter, mother, or sister are forbidden. Okay. Now that's a Shastric law. But that doesn't mean that it is not possible. It's possible, but immoral. You're getting the point? It is forbidden. In general affairs, it won't happen, but it can happen. So it's a possibility which is forbidden, which is like, considered which is like completely forbidden to be even indulged in. Okay. Now, so just like that, the philosophy of Mayavad, Sayujya Mukti, is very much possible. In fact, Sayujya Mukti takes place because a devotee just wants to merge into the existence of the Lord. So it is completely undesirable. It is completely immoral. And therefore it is forbidden, but it is possible. Therefore, Mahaprabhu says, don't even think of it. Islam says, don't have sex with your mother and sister. Because possibly it was taking place. So Mayavad, and Mayavad is rife in India. So many devotees have misconceptions of Mayavad. In fact, some of the sannyasis have Mayavadi misconceptions. So it's a very dangerous situation. Srila Prabhupada warns, he says, Srila Prabhupada warns, even Bhakti-Vikas Swami warns, he says, to even think that one is a specific gopi or something, even that is Mayavad. Because inner circle of Krishna is inner circle. We should not imagine that we are there. So that is also Mayavad. To think that I am that Gopa or I am Gopi, that is also all Mayavad. So Sahajiyism and Mayavad are actually like one complete circle. So because it's an offensive philosophy, Krishna is very kind. Krishna is very merciful. If you want to merge into him, Krishna will merge you into himself. But that is not pleasing to Krishna. Our movement is to please Krishna. Our only service is to please Krishna. In the later stages of bhakti, a devotee doesn't even want deliverance from material nature. He considers that request also to be very shameful, that I am asking Krishna for something. Just like the position of Sudama. Sudama Vipra was feeling very much ashamed that I am asking Krishna for something. That I am such a low class man that I am asking Krishna for something. He is just such a beloved friend of mine. I should just make him happy. So he doesn't ask anything. So that should be the mood in bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we stop here today then. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna ji, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.